Do you remember the 13th day of September?
Okay, that's a great song, but you are not naming the right date. Tell them what's happening in September and when.
Well, the song is about the 21st of September, but we have an event, you all. Excuse my singing, by the way. We have an event the 13th of September in Nashville called the Raising Capable Kids Conference.
We're going to teach some brand new content, the two of us, multiple times that day.
We won't sing.
No, we won't. And we have some incredible friends who are going to do amazing breakouts covering a range of topics. We're going to have great food, great coffee. Fall in Tennessee is magical.
Spectacular.
Please come join us.
You can go to raisingboysandgirls.com, the link in our show notes. Get your tickets now because they're going fast. We'd love to have you join us.
Welcome to the Raising Boys and Girls podcast.
I'm Sissy Goff.
And I'm David Thomas, and we're so glad you've joined us for this conversation. Let's dive in. Justin Whitmel Earley is a writer, speaker, and lawyer. He is the author of The Common Rule, Habits of the Household, and Made for People, though he spends most days running his business law practice. Through his writing and speaking, Justin empowers God's people to thrive through life-giving habits that form them in the love of God and neighbor. He continually explores both how physical habits are more spiritual than we think and how spiritual habits are more physical than we think. He lives with his wife and 4 boys in Richmond, Virginia, spends a lot of time around fires and porches with friends, and you can follow him online at justinwhitmelearley.com. We are always thankful to reconnect with our friend Justin, and stick around as we talk about how to navigate sibling conflict.
Justin, it is so much fun to have you back on the podcast. We love any chance we get to have a conversation with you. And that is just a small part of why we wanted you to come be a part of our Raising Capable Kids conference in the fall. And we're so excited. We were just talking before we officially started recording that my neighbor was losing her mind that you're coming. A parent consult I did in California was losing her mind and wanting to come. I mean, people
I talked to 2 people yesterday who lost their mind too.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I couldn't be happier not only to be talking to you all right now, but to be coming in September to the conference, because I don't care what you all say. I'm a bigger fan, and I am more honored that you asked me to be there. So I am super excited.
You're so kind. Well, will you talk about what you're going to be talking about that day? Because we want folks to get to hear.
Yes, I'm thrilled. I'm going to be talking about habits of the household and how our ordinary routines with our spouses and our kids around the house are actually extraordinarily significant moments of spiritual formation and why they matter so much, which to me is at first convicting because you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff matters more than I thought, but then tremendously encouraging because you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff matters more than I thought. So for me, it's been so great raising my 4 boys, and I can't wait to share lots of practical tips for how people can bring spiritual formation into the home.
We
so
can't
excited.
wait. And that's actually where we want to head next, Justin. So we love everything you've written. We talk about it all the time, but thinking about habits of the household in particular for a few minutes, what would you say is one particular habit you are practicing that you would argue is currently enriching your parenting journey?
It's going to be hard to pick one. So I might cheat and talk about 2, but
We'll let you.
I sort of think a lot right now about habits of prayers with my children, and then also screen time habits, because again, on this thesis, both are so spiritually formative. Now, we obviously think prayer is spiritually formative, so we could talk there, but bringing in prayer with my boys into ordinary moments of the day in ways that are messy but still significant is really just very, very meaningful, and I think really enriching our parenting right now. So what that looks like, my boys are right now, 6, 8, just turned 11 and 13. So we're out of the little years. We're not quite into the full-on adolescence, but we're a taste of both. We're in like some middle-aged years of a lot of energy, a lot of fun, a lot of mess. And just some quick snapshots of those things. So putting the boys to bed is easier than it used to be, but with the little two, it's still very hands-on and still, very messy. And I'm prone to get mad and they're prone to misbehave, and that's just our style. And having a little bedtime liturgy of a small prayer that I say for them, and we have a bunch. Sometimes it's a tickle blessing where I literally tickle them till they can't breathe and say, "May you laugh for joy all your days." Or sometimes it's a squeeze blessing where I say, "May you feel the love of God wrap around you as tight as this." This is really good for sensory seeking children like my youngest, because it's just very hands on. And then sometimes it's more serious, asking them a series of questions about, do they know that I love them? Do they know that I love them no matter what bad or good things they do? Who else loves them like that? God does. These are small, quite brief, honestly, moments in our bedtime routine, but they help me drive to a different type of moment. And there's echoes of that throughout the day and week. Like we have a little morning prayer at our door that we say before everybody gets sent off to school. And it, changes the feel of like, everybody get ready, got to make it to the car, which, certainly we're doing. Like it's hard to get out the door on time, but it's, I think, interruptive in the most helpful of ways, that we're going to pray before we get out the door, because it reframes that moment about what's actually happening here. We're being sent out into the beautiful wide world of love and schoolwork and play, and how do we do all those things well. And so I could talk a little more, but there's a moment of prayer at dinner, there's a moment of prayer at our weekly family devotions. But these things, if you were to come into our house, David and Sissy, these would be very brief moments, and you would see a lot of mess and chaos in those moments. But then when I zoom out, I think, oh my gosh, we're praying with our kids often, and they're learning that you can pray in ordinary moments without ceasing, and that it doesn't have to be super sanctimonious. It's just part of the life we live. So I know that was a long answer. That's on prayer. I guess we can talk about screen time later if we want, but those little moments of prayer are really enriching our
It's a
parenting.
beautiful answer.
Yes, it is.
I love those habits. Okay, well, let's flip it. And is there a habit that feels maybe a little more challenging in this season?
Yes, definitely. The one that comes to mind is I am working on the habit of making space for conversation. And I think about this a lot now because I wrote Habits of the Household in the thick of these little years, right? So I was thinking a lot about kind of stuff we just talked about, structuring moments of ordinary mess at bedtime into, well, how could we work a prayer in there that would change my reaction to it and invite them into spirituality? And, a lot of that is quite structured, right? And it works so wonderfully for little children who really need and structure. And honestly, we need structure with them. And so that has been a lot of the journey. But now I've got a 13-year-old in the house, and an 11-year-old. And the older that they're getting, the more I'm realizing that structuring the space rather than the content is becoming really helpful for us. So you guys are going to be great at talking back here because you're far more experts in all this than I am. But for example, instead of, I tell my little children what to say in our back and forth prayers, it's because they're practicing sort of a way of liturgy would be the fancy way to put it, but really just, teaching them, here's how you pray, here's how you talk to each other. But I'm learning with my oldest, for example, there's a level of conversation that I desire from him, and I think that he wants with me as a 13-year-old. That doesn't really happen if I say, hey, tell me what's on your heart right now. It's like, well, it's family dinner and everybody else is listening, or even if it's in the evening, it's like, well, that was quite sudden and nobody knows how to transition to that. So I'm thinking a lot about structuring space, which looks like, for example, I suspected my 13-year-old had something he wanted me to talk to about. I suspected my 13-year-old had something he wanted to talk to me about the other week. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I suspected it because I heard something from another parent at school that made me think, I bet he needs to talk to me about this, right? And so I was thinking, how do I not just come at him, but rather let him come to me? So one night I was like, hey, you want to stay up a little bit later and play the guitar together? He's trying to learn and I like to play a little bit. And so we sat on the couches and he was picking and trading things. And then it's just sort of like, we're just doing things. Like there's a third thing there, right? And sure enough, about 20 minutes into this, he was like, hey, can I ask you a question? And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this worked. It's not going to work every time, but it did work. We had a great conversation. And, that's a high point. There's other nights where we sit and, can't get a word out of him. But I think structuring that space so that there's a time where he feels like he can come to me. And we really had a really wonderful conversation but it wouldn't happen without the structured space. I can't make him say it anymore, but structuring the space I can do.
Love that.
Me too. And now a quick break to hear from one of our awesome sponsors so that we can bring you all this great content.
Let's talk about nutrition.
Oh no, is this an intervention?
No, and nutrition is not about dieting, but how you truly fuel your body day in and day out. Whether you're aiming for peak energy, managing specific health goals, or simply want to feel good in your body, what you eat is fundamental. It affects your energy levels, your mood, how well you sleep, and of course, your long-term health.
Sometimes I feel too often with queso. It makes me feel so good in the moment and not so good at bedtime.
So I've got an idea. Faye Nutrition connects you directly with registered dietitians, the real food and nutrition experts, for personalized nutrition counseling tailored specifically to you. And the best part is that all dietitians on Faye take insurance. So 95% of people pay $0 for their sessions. Yes, that's right, $0.
Our podcast is sponsored by Faye. Faye matches you one-on-one with a dedicated dietitian who will help you understand your body's unique needs. Your personal dietitian will work with you to create sustainable, evidence-based programs, not just quick fixes, to help you build healthy habits and achieve your health goals.
So whether you're trying to lose weight, dealing with low energy, digestive discomfort, managing conditions like PCOS or diabetes, navigating food allergies, cutting out too much queso, or you just want clarity amidst all the confusing diet noise, getting personalized guidance could be the foundational support you need.
At Faye, they believe expert nutrition counseling should be accessible to everyone. It's so simple to find a dietitian who fits your needs and to instantly check your insurance coverage before signing up. And like we said, the vast majority of people pay $0 for their sessions.
Having a personalized nutritionist used to cost big bucks, but not anymore with Faye. Listeners of our podcast can qualify to see a registered dietitian for as little as $0 by visiting faynutrition.com/RBG. That's FAYnutrition.com/RBG.
One last time, that's faynutrition.com/RBG, and make sure you use the URL so they know we sent you.
David, I'd like you to take a quiz.
Uh-oh. Does it involve math? I can't do math.
No math. The only math I'm throwing out is this. Your pillow is the thing you lay your head on for 8 hours a night, and if it's not exactly right for you, it can lead to needless tossing and turning, or worse, having you waking up with that unrelenting kink in your neck each morning. But one of our sponsors, Lagoon, has a 2-minute quiz you can take that could change the sleep game.
I'm ready. Good mornings start with optimal sleep, and Lagoon pillows are made just for that. They're customizable, supportive, and will have you waking up feeling your best at whatever time of morning that might be.
Dive into deep restorative sleep with a 2-minute quiz that unearths your perfect pillow so you slide effortlessly into deep, undisturbed sleep.
I was matched with the Whale. It's a cooling pillow because I run hot at night.
I got matched with the Otter. It's a cooling and supportive, versatile pillow. Waking up for my morning routine has never felt better. I'm refreshed and pain-free thanks to my Lagoon pillow.
Go to lagoonsleep.com/RBG and take their awesome 2-minute sleep quiz to find your match.
Use code RBG for 15% off your first purchase.
And now back to the show. Okay, you talked a minute ago about getting out the door and even wanting to fold in some rich connection in that time and it still being messy. And I love the honesty and even how you told that story, Justin. And you have a brand new children's book we're super excited about called The Big Mess. A deliciously funny story of siblings learning to get along. I can't tell you how much we love that title. So first off, what made you want to write this book? And secondly, what do you hope folks gain from reading it?
Oh, that's so great. Okay, well, I am so overjoyed to answer this question I'm holding it up on the video.
It's amazing.
Love the illustrations.
I'm smiling really big because half of what made me want to write this, David, is just the joy and delight of children. And I don't know any other way to say it. As a father of 4 boys, I write about, habits and spirituality. But I think hopefully anybody that reads my stuff will know there's a ton of messiness to this. And there's a ton of delight in all this because half of the thing, that I'm trying to do is introduce my children to the joy of what it looks like to enter into the good life of following Jesus. And part of that is just delight. Like I truly think the Lord delights in us, and He delights in us finding our true happiness in Him. And so any parent who really gets it, I think, and we intuit this, we just love to see our kids smile. And the big mess is on the surface about two brothers who are building larger than life desserts. For example, you see on the cover, an ice cream sundae explosion as big as the yard. And it's in a very bouncy rhyme. It's full of accidental topplings and explosions of these desserts. And so I was thinking, what is the best way to get kids' attention, keep their attention, and make them laugh and giggle and smile? And I'm like, well, writing about huge sugar creations that are being exploded seems like a good way. If anybody's been following along on or watching on social media, one of the ways we've been launching the book, quote unquote, is literally launching desserts, because that's what happened in the book. And true enough, my kids are loving it, the neighbors are loving it, and it's just been fun. So part of it is that. The other part of it is it's called The Big Mess because it's about two brothers learning to get along in this. And Big Brother Mouse is the maker of these giant desserts. And his younger brother, accidentally but predictably, always ends up sort of accidentally stumbling into it or knocking it over in increasingly fantastic ways just to keep children's interest. But, Big Brother Mouse is getting really frustrated because he builds these huge things. And by the way, anybody listening probably is like, oh yeah, like my kids. Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
One of them loves to build giant Lego creations and the other one just can't not smash them, and they get really frustrated. And the story in the end is about Big Brother Mouse learning to say, and he actually says, if all my creations will get bashed, let's make something made to be smashed. And he invites his younger brother into the life of his creation by saying, we're going to make a giant ice cream sundae and you get to smash it. And it's going to explode in just a raining sky of ice cream sundaes, and the whole neighborhood gets to catch a bowl and eat. And right there, I'm trying to invite children into thinking about, and invite parents into thinking about, how it is entering into the mess of children where we find reconciliation, deeper relationship, and the actual joys of family. Because if you're like me, little kids came into your life and you're like, my schedule's a mess. My sleeping is now a mess. My whole life everything's a mess. And you really can, honestly, you can resent them for it. You can resent them a lot. Unless you realize that Jesus has done that exact thing for you. He's come into the mess of the world, incarnate to us, and entered into all our problems in order to serve and bless everybody. And when we see things that way, I think we suddenly see what's at the core of family life, that all of the beautiful relationships of love that we're looking for are on the other side of the messiness. And this kids' book is just one fun way to get kids and parents thinking about that.
I can't wait to read it. We have a lot of parents talk in counseling about how their kids aren't getting along. And we'd love to know, as you're working in this book, launching this book, talking about this a lot, what encouragement or even challenge you might have for parents in that space of helping siblings learn to get along.
Yeah, well, the first encouragement I have is just to hold up my family and how much we all fight. Not just my boys fight, but how much I fight with them, they fight with me. We fight with, Lauren. There's a reason the book is named The Big Mess, because family really is a mess. And I just like to graciously but enthusiastically remind families that the mark of a healthy family, the mark of a Christian family, is not that you don't have problems. The mark is that you repair and you reconcile and you forgive and you forge into deeper relationship. And that, I think, is helpful to know, just to say you're not weird. If your kids are fighting, it's like, oh, that's because they're kids. Yes. They do that, and that's physically and emotionally, and the boy-girl difference and the age difference are all going to be different, but we have a lot of fight. And so the first thing I would say to encourage parents is that this is a daily, if not hourly, reality for us, which is why it's so important, right? Because we have so many reps, so many opportunities to try to practice forgiveness and reconciliation. And on the theme of habits, some of the things that have really helped me there and our children there are, for me, briefly, pause prayers have been extraordinarily helpful. So before I run in to break up a fight and scold everybody for fighting in the first place, I'm often on the way to that moment, pausing to pray, which really just looks like in my head saying, Lord, help, Lord, help me. Usually I'm saying, Lord, help me be more like you than me in this moment. Because when I have a problem, and I have a lot of conflict in my life, right? When I am asking for the Lord's intervention, I'm looking for someone who is gracious with me, but also truthful with me. And, and I want to be the same way to my kids. I don't want to come in and just say, I can't believe you're doing this again. I want to come in from a perspective of saying, like, hey, I don't like it when people take my stuff either. I understand that. But nonetheless, reacting like this is going to hurt you and your brother. And, so there's a way that prayer helps me reframe those moments from being the one who wants to control behavior to being the one who wants to seek the heart of my child, which honestly takes a lot more time, right? So I'm going to need to pray to enter that. And then on my kids' side, we've just got a couple little rhythms of apologies, forgiveness, and reconciliation, I think being the most important one. I mean, in any meaningful fight, I'm going to want them to steward them both towards saying sorry to each other, steward them both to forgiving each other. And those words are important because I really do think words lead the heart. I think this can be taken too far. You don't want to just demand a by rote apology and forgiveness in the moment. But most moments I find with young children, you can sort of steward them there. And I'm using that on purpose because, we don't want our children to just trust their hearts and their feelings. Like, well, I'm not going to apologize because I'm not ready yet. There's a limit to that logic, right? We want to help them say, well, part of the way you get there is that you say it or you walk towards it. So I think that's helpful. But the thing that I think has been really helpful for us with littler ones is our liturgies of reconciliation, which is often a brother's hug. So I don't know how we stumbled onto this, David and Sissy, but early on, this was many years ago, we found that if we encouraged them and said, okay, you both said sorry, you both said I forgive you, but now let's give each other a hug, and you got to hold on until both of you start smiling again. And it was almost like a game at first. And truly it was. And that's kind of the beauty of it, that with little children, that embrace or that like semi wrestling again, it sort of moved their mind by moving the body, and they started to play halfway through the hug. They started to smile. And that became a tradition in our family still
I love that.
today.
Me too.
So it's not always that, and I don't want to oversimplify. You can't just get out of conflict in any moment through a long hug. But often you can. Often it really helps. And it also helps Lauren and I, when we're frustrated and we've said, I'm sorry and I forgive you. As it turns out, holding hands again or giving each other a hug again or taking a walk again. And I'm seeing with my older siblings, with the older kids, the liturgies of reconciliation are more on those lines. Like, can I sit and play the guitar with them? Or can I take a walk with them? But I really think a lot now, and I'll probably talk about this at the conference this fall, because my next book coming out this fall is called The Body Teaches the Soul. All the ways our bodies are involved in our spirituality that we might not think. I just really think a lot with our children and us about how reconciliation comes often from an embodied movement towards it. And the Brothers Hug is one small example, and there could be a lot more, but helping our children embody that reconciliation has been an enormous part of helping them get along and forgive in our house.
Please talk about that at the conference. We strongly hope you will.
I will. I promise. Yeah.
Good.
I'm instructed not to give away too much too soon by, publishers, but I just can't help myself. So I'll be talking about it.
Good. Justin, we believe strongly that kids are great teachers and would love to ask you, what is something you've learned from one of your sons recently?
Okay. I'll give you one. This is just from last night and it's a little bit random. My son Asher's sitting in the living room and he says, yeah, I just want to go to bed earlier. And I'm like, well, Asher, all you have to do is go to bed earlier. And he's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, you literally just have to start the bedtime process earlier. And why don't you walk upstairs now and you get more sleep? And he was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And he does it. He woke up so bright and chipper this morning. He went to bed an hour earlier. I was so surprised he said that. And then as I'm reflecting, I'm like, he literally just said the problem that I have all the time, where I'm like, I do too much in the day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I was more rested. And I'm talking to him and I'm thinking, why the heck haven't I told this to myself? You know, all you need to do is just say, Justin, there's only so much you can do in a day. Take your poor body to bed and let it rest, and you'll be better tomorrow. And I think the honesty of naming our needs maybe is one of the things, and the honesty of saying, I just have trouble with this. I think that's why a minute ago I said one of my favorite prayers is that the Lord would remind me that I'm, more like my children than not, or that I need, like, I want to come at them more like God than me, because the more I watch them, the more I realize, oh, I'm them with just a lot more filters. I just like,
Mm.
I'm them with just a lot more excuses of saying, well, here's why I can't go to bed early. But I think some of their willingness to name their need and my willingness to say, oh, actually, the solution to this is kind of simple, is helpful for me to reframe and then say, I need to name my needs and embrace some of the simple instructions that I would tell myself. So maybe that's one thing I'm learning.
That's a great
So
reminder. I
good.
want to instill that tonight for myself. I'm going to go just put myself to bed a little earlier. Thank you.
Don't we all wish we just had a parent? It would be so helpful if I just still had a parent living in the house who would say, hey, Justin, it's time for bed. And I'll give you a hug and tickle you and I'll pray for you, but it's time for bed. I think, man, honestly, I need that too.
Yes. And now we're going to take a little break to hear from one of our sponsors who makes this podcast possible.
Sissy, I have a quiz for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you wish you had more energy?
Yes.
Do you sometimes have brain fog?
You know that's a yes.
Do you need better sleep?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, one of our sponsors may be able to help. Did you know the liver is the second largest organ in your body? It's responsible for over 500 functions in your body. But for some reason, liver health doesn't always get the attention it deserves.
Over 30% of Americans have a sluggish liver, a problem that often goes undetected until the very last minute.
Dose is on a mission to educate us all on why it's so important to maintain your liver health and has created an incredible product to help you do just that.
Dose for Your Liver was formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid digestion, and maintain your body's filter. It acts as your body's filter, flushing out unwanted elements and breaking down what you consume into essential nutrients.
Dose's science-backed formula promotes liver function, aids digestion, eases bloating, and even boosts energy levels.
Stick with Dose and feel the incredible benefits over time. More energy, better digestion, reduced bloating, healthier liver enzyme function, reduction in brain fog, better sleep. I am ready.
Dose is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, and vegan.
Save 30% on your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/RBG or entering RBG at checkout.
That's DOSCDAILY.co/RBG for 30% off your first month subscription.
And now back to our show. Well, so you are in the middle of our Music City series, which is something we do every summer, obviously being in Music City. And so that means we have to ask you a music-related question. So we want to know if there is a band or artist or song or album that has particularly shaped you.
Oh, this is a funny one. Because I don't know if this is going to be on brand, for whatever that means. So
I'm excited about this.
I am a corporate lawyer, right? Rapidly approaching middle age, father of 4 boys, and I write books and do stuff on the side. But when I was in high school and college, the music that was deeply shaping me was in like the punk rock, emo, screamo scene. So I was a drummer, and I'd be honest, like I still love this music. Okay, like like I said, it's not exactly on brand for the way that I dress and stuff now. And I listen to a wide variety of music now. But there were bands like Saves the Day or Dashboard Confessional, Jimmy Eat World. I could talk about some more of these, but they really shaped me in that time. I think for better and worse. But I'll say some of the better of it was that emo movement, let's call it. It was short for like emotional music. And I think it really helped me as a young male embrace the emotional side of life that wasn't necessarily being taught elsewhere. And I don't want to, come too hard on culture. That I know it can be a stereotype that men are not in tune with their emotions. generally probably true. That music actually really helped me get in tune with my emotions. I don't know that they were always the healthiest form of my emotions, and I really need guidance on like, well, what emotions do we care most about here, and how do we actually kind of get in charge of them so they don't take us over? But I do think a lot of that music made me want to live intensely. It made me want to feel the emotions that I was feeling intensely. And I will say this, it made me want to write about them because I listened to people who are processing their lives in songs. A lot of these were singer-songwriters who had, started bands in their young 20s. So it's like kind of raw music, but it was the idea of um, almost journaling aloud in your music. And that was the time in my life where I started writing what I thought in journals because I realized I wasn't really a songwriter, but I did feel like I was a writer and I wanted to write my emotions too. And so that that's a fun question. I haven't thought about that, but whether anybody cares or listens to Saves the Day, Dashboard Confessional, and Jimmy Eat World, they did get me thinking about my emotions and writing about them.
It's great.
It is
I
great.
love hearing you tell that story.
Yeah.
Building on that, Justin, what would you say is a band, artist, song, or record that is the soundtrack of your household currently?
Oh, I've got two. I am a huge fan of The Lone Bellow, which
Yes.
is a band in Nashville now. I think they started in
Yes.
Brooklyn.
They're amazing.
I love them. I have followed them. I have the sort of pride of being in on the early days because I saw Zach Williams, the lead of that band, live before they made that band. I thought this guy is a great performer and great songwriter. We even talked after the show. He wouldn't remember it, but I do. That was in New York City. And so when they formed the Lone Bellow, I've listened to every album and still do. And they're on play all the time in our house. My son learned some of their songs on the guitar. So they're a constant, but I'm also constantly listening to Forrest Frank now, which I
Yes.
also was an early adopter of. I'd like to say he doesn't know it. He won't remember it, but I remember it when I first started listening to him. And so he's on. I just love his style of music. It's a real fun blend of a lot of styles, and my kids like it too. So both of these are things that my kids like. Quite different bands, but Forrest Frank and Lone Bellow, they're on the soundtrack right now.
So good.
Great choices.
Yeah.
Well, we obviously, our folks adore you, but for anybody who is unfamiliar, which maybe there's one, will you tell them where they can find and follow all the things that you're doing?
Sure. I love to invite people to join my email list or follow along on Instagram or both. Those are probably the two ways I put out a lot of ideas on my email list so that you can go to justinwhitmelearley.com. I'm sure you can see the show notes or Google Justin Earley, author, lawyer. It'll turn up. You can join my email list there, and I send out not only regular thoughts, but a lot of free devotional resources or habit ideas for different seasons. So like, back to school, couple parenting habits ideas, or an Advent habit and devotional planner. These are all free things. So I love it when people join my email list. And then on Instagram, you can find me and I share the short reels about all these ideas. So, you got to be really short form on Instagram. So if you want anything more than that, and I suggest a lot more than that, go to the email list. But I do a lot of short videos on Instagram too.
You are offering great stuff to the world, Justin.
Yes.
That's been our consistent experience with you and knowing you. And you and Lauren both know, having been in the room with us before, that we end every episode with something fun and food related. We've talked tacos already with you. So today we'd love to ask, what is a current crowd favorite, prepared or purchased, that the Earley family is loving these days?
Oh man, we eat so much food, David and Sissy. Like the stereotype of adolescent boy in the house. I could have so many answers to this, but I'm going to go with what continues to be the number one, which is steaks, and preferably ribeye steaks. So we do a lot of camping because I realize, one of the great things with the boys is get them outside. They can't break the outdoors. They can break anything inside, but they can't break the outdoors. So we do a lot of camping, and one of two things. My parents gave me this portable Blackstone grill that you can actually take on camping trips. And we did an RV trip and we cooked on that every night. And like the steaks coming off that are great. But my favorite is really fun and not that hard to do. On Amazon, you can buy a little hanging chain and like a wire grill for like $20. And when you go camping, you set up a campfire and then you take a hatchet and you carve 3 poles and hang this chain above the fire. And then you put your steaks right on it, literally cook them right over the fire, like over an open flame. We did this last weekend with our older sons, and they are some of the best steaks that you will ever have. You can have a relatively cheap cut of meat, but hang it over the fire and cook it like that. I should do an Instagram tutorial about this, actually. Maybe
Yes, you should.
people would like it. But me and my boys are huge fans. And Lauren is too. She likes them too. So steaks, either preferably grilled outside.
So fun.
So good. Justin.
I'm going to have to make you one. If you guys ever to make it to Richmond, I'm going to take you out to the land where we camp and cook you a
We would love
ribeye
that.
steak hung over the fire. You'll never forget it.
We would do it. We would jump on any chance to spend time with you. Friend, it is so good to see you today.
Yes.
Thanks for coming to be with us in September.
Thank you so much. It's a delightful conversation as always, and I cannot wait for September. See you then.
Us too. David, what a team we have that we get to call friends who help make this podcast possible. Chris Starrett, our engineer.
Our management team at KCH.
And we are thrilled to be a part of the That Sounds Fun network.
Our music was created by the insanely talented Dave Haywood of Lady A.
And if this podcast felt helpful to you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all the things.
We are grateful for you and cheering you on always.